She invited me to her wedding, used my name in a toast, mocked our past for laughs, while I sat there, smiling through it. I didn't argue, didn't walk out, I just disappeared and came back on the cover of the magazine that cancelled the brand deal for her honeymoon. Now when she scrolls, she doesn't see a punchline. She sees the man she tried to erase, printed where her face was supposed to be. They say heartbreak is private, but mine was televised, not with cameras, not with a red carpet, but with smiles and toasts and a microphone in her hand. Vanessa and I had history, 3 years of it, the kind you don't just walk away from unless you're trying to prove something to the crowd watching. She left me 3 months before her wedding. Not with a fight, not with honesty, just a text. I'm sorry, I can't do this. You deserve someone softer, someone less safe. Then silence. No closure. No explanation. Just photos with her new fiancé 2 weeks later, smiling like her past had never happened. I tried to move on. Tried to be the bigger person. Even replied to her invitation. Yes, invitation. She wanted me at the wedding, said it was about healing, about being mature, about letting go with grace. I should have known better, but I said yes, because part of me still believed the person I fell for wouldn't twist the knife. I showed up in a suit I hadn't worn since our anniversary dinner, sat 3 rows back, smiled politely, nodded when her father made eye contact. Then came the reception. Clinking glasses, golden lights, a soft acoustic cover of the song we used to dance to, and then the mic. Vanessa stood at the head table, champagne in hand, eyes sparkling. Before I say anything else, she started, I want to thank someone very special who taught me everything I don't want in a partner. People chuckled, my heart dropped. Someone who showed me that settling isn't safety, it's surrender, and that love should never feel like a quiet room with no applause. Laughter. Louder this time. So, to my past, wherever you are sitting, thank you for showing me exactly what I outgrew. The crowd erupted. Some clapped, others turned to look. And me, I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even breathe for a moment, because sometimes pain doesn't stab, it evaporates the air around you. I left quietly. No scene, no words, just slipped through the side exit while they danced. I walked through the parking lot with the sound of her laughter behind me. And for the first time in my life, I realized some people don't want peace. They want witnesses. She didn't just get married. She used the altar as a podium. And me, I was the punchline. But here's the thing about being humiliated publicly. If you're patient enough, you don't need revenge. You just need a better headline. After the wedding, I didn't speak to anyone. No dramatic posts, no group chats, no closure-seeking messages. I shut it all down. Because the moment you become someone's punchline in public, you stop explaining yourself in private. I took my pain and packed it away. Not to forget it, but to use it. I poured myself into my work. Not the job I hated, but the idea I'd always been too afraid to chase. A small lifestyle platform I'd once designed on paper napkins. Something built around dignity, reinvention, and resilience. At first it was just blogs, stories about being left behind, about starting over when everyone else has already clapped for someone else. People found it, quietly, then frequently. Then came the comments. This saved me. I thought I was the only one. You put words to what I've never said out loud. I didn't tell them where it came from, didn't mention her name, because the story wasn't about her anymore. It was about what came after her. Soon the blog became a brand. The brand became a voice. And that voice got picked up. First by a niche magazine, then by a mainstream editor looking for fresh angles on men's recovery. I did one photo shoot. Simple. Black background, no ring, no smile, just presence. The headline, The Man Who Chose to Rebuild After Becoming the Joke. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't vengeful, it was honest. That honesty got shared. Shared turned to sponsored. Sponsored turned to viral. Suddenly, I was being asked to speak at conferences, featured in podcasts, written into articles I didn't pitch. And through all of it, I stayed calm. Because I remembered what it felt like to be clapped at by people who never stayed to see what happened after the joke. I never said her name, but I knew she saw it, because one of her followers posted a comment. Wait, isn't that the ex she made fun of during the wedding toast? And all I replied was, I don't remember the joke. but I kept the silence. The cover dropped on a Tuesday. I didn't know the exact day it would go live, just that the editor texted me the week before with 3 words. "You're the headline." I'd almost forgotten about it. It was just another interview, just another shoot. I wore black. I said little. Let the camera capture what years of silence had shaped into something sharper than forgiveness. The story was clean. No blame, no bitterness. Just a narrative about rebuilding from rejection. A quiet man who used pain like a blueprint, who turned humiliation into something useful. But the headline, that part I didn't write. From rock bottom to role model, how one man rebuilt after public heartbreak. The layout was tasteful. My name was bold, and across the bottom corner was a silver sponsor tag. Bella Vida Resorts, the new face of healing travel. At first, it didn't click. Bella Vida had been in talks with her, I remembered. She'd posted about it during her engagement. Branded bride. Bella honeymoon. Partnership goals. She wanted her wedding to be the launch pad. The wedding post, the honeymoon, the resort content. It was all supposed to feed her brand, until now. Because the issue had gone viral. Millions of eyes, thousands of shares. And the sponsor was flooded with comments like, "Wait, is this the same guy she mocked at her wedding?" Bella Vida really chose the better story. Now, this is a healing arc I'd book a trip for. By Thursday, she posted a photo from the airport. No tags, no hashtags, no mention of Bella Vida. Just a cryptic caption. "Some stories get stolen, some were never yours to begin with." That told me everything. She hadn't just lost the narrative, she'd lost the spotlight she built her image around. Because once people saw the man behind the silence, they stopped clapping for the woman who made him disappear. I never reached out, never explained, never gloated, because some wins aren't for the audience. They're for the stage she thought only she stood on. She didn't say anything directly. Not to me, not to the press, not to her followers. But silence speaks louder when your whole life is built on noise. The morning after the cover went viral, her honeymoon content stopped. 3 scheduled posts disappeared from her profile. The Bella Vida highlight reel was gone. The travel page that once said "partnered with @Vanessa in Bloom" now said nothing at all. No announcements, no explanations. Just a sudden change in the air. The kind that tells you something important broke behind the scenes, and no one's allowed to say what it was. Her closest friends posted beach photos without her. No tags, no power couple captions, just sunsets and distance. I got a DM that week, not from her, from someone who used to be in her inner circle. They sent a screenshot, a text she'd sent to a group chat. One line stood out, "I can't believe his story got picked over mine." That's when I realized she didn't want love. She didn't even want the wedding. She wanted the spotlight, the applause, the narrative. But here's the thing about stories. Once the world finds the better one, they stop reading yours. I didn't ruin her. I didn't send a message to the brand, didn't leak the wedding clip, didn't ask for justice. I just let truth do what truth always does. Rise. She built her image on being untouchable, and I became the reason her reflection cracked. People didn't cancel her. They just stopped buying what she was selling, because once they saw the man she left behind, they saw her choice differently, and her silence wasn't elegance, it was fear. Fear of answering the one question I never asked. Was the applause worth the cost? I didn't celebrate. No rooftop party, no press release, no clever caption on the cover photo. I saved the magazine, though. One copy, tucked into a drawer next to the journal I stopped writing in after her wedding. Not as a trophy, as a timestamp, a reminder that the moment I stopped chasing people was the moment the world started following my footsteps. I kept doing what I was doing, posting, writing, responding to messages from strangers who saw themselves in my pain. Every time someone said, "You helped me feel less invisible," I remembered what it felt like to be laughed at in that wedding hall. And I smiled, not with pride, with clarity. I wasn't here to clap back. I was here to clear space for real stories, for quiet victories, for people who walk out of the room without slamming the door and still somehow end up on the other side of history. She never reached out, never apologized, but sometimes silence is the closest thing to truth a person like her can manage. She didn't need to say it. Her brand faded, the partnership fizzled, and I never had to lift a single finger to make it happen. That's what made it satisfying. Not that I won, but that I never stooped, never struck, never even stepped onto the stage she built with my name in her mouth. And yet, I became the headline. I didn't ask to be the symbol of recovery. I just refused to be the joke that ended with her mic drop, because people don't remember the loudest voice in the room. They remember the one that stayed standing after the spotlight moved. There was a time I wanted her to notice, to regret, to backpedal, to see my name and feel a sting of shame behind her curated smile, but not anymore. Now, I hope she forgets me completely, because forgetting me would mean she can never again use my story for a joke she didn't earn. I used to think power came from attention, that the only way to heal was to be seen, but I learned something else along the way. Real power is being seen when you no longer need to be. She had the stage, I had the silence, and in the end, it was the silence that spoke longer. People still ask if the magazine moment was revenge. It wasn't. It was resurrection, of self-worth, of direction, of a voice I thought she'd taken when she used mine to get applause. I never wanted her to lose everything. I just needed to stop being the thing she stood on to gain it. And once I stepped out from under that weight, she lost her platform all by herself. No malice, no vendetta, just gravity doing its job. Now, I speak at places where no one knows her name. I sign books that don't mention the wedding. I take photos with people who see me for who I am now, not who I was on page 12 of someone else's story. My life moved forward, and hers, she may still be explaining, still backpedaling, still polishing her image in mirrors that no longer reflect the truth. And that's her legacy to carry. Mine is different. Mine was born the night she pointed me out with a laugh, and ended the day the world pointed back and listened.